The Guardian's Legacy. In the sprawling wilderness of the Amboseli National Reserve in Kenya, Harrison Montgomery had become a living legend. For over 5 decades, this former ranger had dedicated his existence to protecting the magnificent creatures that roamed these ancient plains. His weathered face, etched with deep lines from years under the scorching African sun, told stories of countless battles against poachers and tireless efforts to preserve the delicate balance of this ecosystem. At 76, Harrison still insisted on conducting daily patrols despite the protests of younger rangers who worried about his health. "These animals are my family," he would say with a gentle smile that softened his otherwise stern features. "And you don't abandon family." On a particularly punishing summer day, when the heat rose in visible waves from the parched earth, Harrison received word of an injured black rhino near the eastern boundary. Without hesitation, he climbed into his worn Land Rover and headed out, accompanied only by his faithful binoculars and medical kit. The temperature had climbed to an unbearable 104 degrees by midday, but Harrison pressed on, determined to reach the wounded animal. He found the rhino sheltering beneath the sparse shade of an acacia tree, its breathing labored, a deep gash visible on its flank, likely from a territorial dispute. As Harrison approached with practiced caution, speaking in low, soothing tones, he felt a sudden crushing pressure in his chest. The pain radiated down his left arm as he stumbled forward, his vision blurring. His last conscious thought was of concern not for himself, but for the suffering animal before him. Harrison Montgomery's heart gave out under the merciless African sun, mere yards from the creature he had come to save. News of Harrison's death spread rapidly through the reserve and the surrounding communities. Grief descended like a heavy shadow over Amboseli. Rangers, researchers, and local villagers all mourned the passing of the man who had become the heart and soul of conservation efforts in the region. Following his explicit wishes, Harrison's funeral was arranged within the reserve itself, in a small clearing overlooking the vast plains he had protected so fiercely. His body, wrapped in traditional Maasai red cloth, lay in state as people gathered to pay their respects. The ceremony incorporated elements of local tribal customs, honoring Harrison's deep respect for indigenous traditions and knowledge. Director of the reserve, Dr. Amara Okafor, spoke with a voice that trembled with emotion. Harrison didn't just work in this reserve, he embodied its very spirit. His legacy lives on in every animal that roams free, in every acre of protected land, in every one of us who learned from his example. The simple wooden casket remained open as mourners filed past, many leaving small tokens of remembrance: feathers, smooth stones, pressed wildflowers. The assembled group had just begun singing a traditional farewell song when an extraordinary interruption silenced every voice. From the tall grasses beyond the clearing emerged a magnificent male lion, its golden mane catching the afternoon sunlight. The massive predator moved with deliberate grace toward the gathering, causing a collective intake of breath. People froze, transfixed by the lion's approach, not panicked, but in awe of the unfolding moment. The lion showed no aggression as it walked unhurriedly through the parting crowd. Its amber eyes remained fixed on Harrison's body. Time seemed suspended as the great beast padded forward with quiet dignity, ignoring the humans who stood motionless in its presence. When it reached the casket, the lion lowered its massive head in what appeared to be a gesture of profound respect. It stood there in silence, its breathing steady, its gaze unwavering. A whisper began circulating through the stunned mourners. "It's Jabari! It's Jabari!" Noah Kimathi, a senior ranger who had worked alongside Harrison for 20 years, nodded in confirmation, tears streaming freely down his weathered face. "Yes," he whispered, "it's him." 15 years earlier, Harrison and Noah had discovered a young male lion caught in a poacher's wire snare. The animal was severely injured, its front paw mangled and infected, its body emaciated from days without food or water. Most rangers would have considered the lion beyond saving, but Harrison refused to give up on the magnificent creature. For weeks, they had treated the lion they named Jabari, meaning brave in Swahili, nursing him back to health in a temporary enclosure. Harrison had spent countless hours sitting near the recovering predator, talking to him in soothing tones, reading aloud from his favorite books. When Jabari was finally strong enough to return to the wild, Harrison had personally overseen his release, watching with pride as the healed lion bounded back into his natural habitat. Over the years, rangers occasionally spotted Jabari from a distance, recognizing him by the distinctive scar on his paw and his unusual tolerance for ranger vehicles. He had grown into a magnificent specimen, establishing a territory and eventually fathering several cubs, but he had always maintained his distance from humans, until now. As Jabari stood motionless beside Harrison's casket, the significance of the moment was lost on no one. In the realm of wildlife conservation, where success is often measured in statistics and population counts, this profound display of recognition transcended all scientific explanations. After what seemed like an eternity, the funeral ceremony continued around the lion's presence, the traditional songs now sung in hushed, reverent tones. No one dared approach or disturb Jabari, who remained a solemn sentinel throughout the proceedings. When the time came to lower Harrison's body into the earth, Jabari finally moved. He stepped back, creating space for the pallbearers to complete their task. As the first handfuls of soil fell upon the casket, the lion lifted his head and released a deep, resonant roar that echoed across the savanna. The sound carried raw emotion that needed no translation. It was a lament, a tribute, a farewell. The lion remained by the fresh grave long after most mourners had departed, his powerful form silhouetted against the setting sun. Noah Kimathi stayed too, maintaining a respectful distance as darkness began to claim the landscape. "I'll watch over things here," Noah said quietly to Dr. Okafor as she prepared to leave. "I think Harrison would want someone to stay with his old friend." Under the vast canopy of emerging stars, man and beast kept their separate vigils, connected by their shared loss, their shared memory of a remarkable human being. In the weeks and months that followed, rangers began reporting unusual sightings, Jabari regularly returning to Harrison's gravesite, which had been marked with a simple stone cairn topped by a wooden plaque. The lion would appear at unpredictable intervals, sometimes at dawn, sometimes under the full moon. He would lie beside the grave for hours, as though standing guard over his former savior. Researchers were baffled. Nothing in their scientific understanding of lion behavior could explain this persistent return. Wildlife biologist Dr. Elena Santos, who came to document the phenomenon, wrote in her journal, "What we're witnessing here challenges our fundamental understanding of animal cognition and emotional memory. If we didn't have video evidence, I doubt anyone in the scientific community would believe it." Local Maasai elders offered a different perspective. "The spirits speak between all living things," explained Nantai, a respected tribal elder. "This lion carries Harrison's spirit now. He remembers the kindness, and kindness is a language that needs no words." As seasons changed and the reserve continued its eternal cycles of life, death, and renewal, Jabari's visits became part of Amboseli's living mythology. Tourists would hear the story from their guides, though few were ever fortunate enough to witness the lion's pilgrimages. Those who did described it as a spiritual experience that transcended mere wildlife observation. 1 year after Harrison's death, the reserve established the Montgomery Conservation Initiative, dedicated to training local community members in wildlife protection and sustainable coexistence. The program's logo featured the silhouette of a lion standing beside a human figure, a permanent reminder of an extraordinary bond. During the initiative's inauguration ceremony, Noah Kimmothy addressed the gathering. Harrison always told us that conservation isn't just about saving animals. It's about recognizing that we are all part of the same great circle of life. What Jabari has shown us is that this connection goes deeper than we ever imagined. He gestured toward the horizon, where the vast savanna stretched endlessly under the African sky. Harrison's body may lie beneath this soil, but his spirit roams free across these plains, just as he always wanted. And he is not alone. He has the mightiest guardian anyone could ask for. The story of Harrison and Jabari gradually spread beyond Kenya's borders, appearing in conservation journals, documentary films, and eventually children's books. It became a powerful symbol of the mysterious bonds that can form between species, a testament to the possibility that compassion might indeed be a universal language. Years passed, and Jabari grew old as lions do. His magnificent mane faded to a paler shade, and he relinquished his territory to younger males. Yet still he came to the grave, less frequently but with the same solemn purpose. On the 5th anniversary of Harrison's death, Noah Kimmothy found Jabari lying beside the cairn, his breathing shallow. The aging ranger knelt at a safe distance, meeting the lion's amber gaze one last time. "You've kept your promise, old friend," Noah said softly. "You can rest now." Whether by coincidence or cosmic design, Jabari died that night beside Harrison's grave. The reserve staff decided unanimously to bury the lion in the same clearing, creating a companion cairn alongside Harrison's. Dr. Amara Okafor, now gray-haired but still directing the reserve with passionate dedication, spoke at the small ceremony held for the lion. "Some might think it foolish to honor an animal this way," she said, looking around at the gathered rangers and staff. "But those who witnessed Jabari's devotion know better. He reminds us that gratitude and love can transcend the boundaries we believe exist between species." She placed her hand on the sun-warmed stones of Jabari's cairn. Science cannot fully explain what happened here, but perhaps some truths aren't meant to be dissected and analyzed. Perhaps some mysteries are meant simply to be witnessed, to inspire us, to humble us. Today, visitors to Amboseli National Reserve can see 2 stone cairns standing side by side in a peaceful clearing. Tour guides tell the story with reverent voices, and even the most skeptical visitors fall silent, sensing the sacred nature of the site. Occasionally, when the moon is full and the savanna bathes in silver light, rangers report hearing a lion's roar echoing across the plains, a sound that seems to carry both lamentation and joy, loss and reunion. They don't attempt to explain it. Like Harrison Montgomery, they have learned that the deepest connections in nature often defy explanation. The story of Harrison and Jabari endures as a powerful reminder that kindness leaves an indelible mark, that gratitude knows no species, and that the most profound bonds often form in moments of compassion. It stands as testament that even in our most desperate hours, the good we do may return to us in ways we could never imagine, perhaps even as a final farewell from those we once saved. In the great theater of life, where countless creatures play their parts under the same sun, true compassion needs no common language. It speaks directly to the heart, and its echo may return when we least expect it, perhaps even in our final hour, as a gesture of grace from the most unlikely of mourners.